Hello, fellow Rebel Capitalists. Hope you're well. So, a lot of news today, especially revolving around cryptocurrency, now CBDC. Russia, Putin comes out and announces or passes a law to pave the way for their new central bank digital currency. So, let's get into this. Before we do, I want to go over this something we discussed, I believe, on Friday in a video about FedNow. And I was talking about how they're using a new messaging system that wasn't Swift. And I think I mentioned that it might be something from the Fed. It's actually not. I believe this is a private party solution similar to Swift. Unfortunately, it has a lot of, let's say, Orwellian characteristics. I've got it right here. For banks, the most important difference between Swift MT message is kind of the old school way of doing things that they're trying to phase out, and the new MX message format used for ISO 20022 was that the MX messages are far richer in data. So where a Swift message is like quick text message, hey, transfer this to this. This gives you all of the data, I'm sure, from the sender, from their bank account, who they are, or their social security number, all these things. Banks have the opportunity to leverage. And actually, I read somewhere else there were like over 900 fields that come with this one text message. I'm not sure how many there are from Swift, but I would imagine a whole heck of a lot less. So banks have the opportunity to leverage this data to enhance everything from sanctions and compliance processes to customer analytics. So analytics, sanctions, compliance means you are being sanctioned. I don't really think they're talking about Russia, although they may claim they are. Another key difference there, I was talking about chips. That's this kind of third-party clearinghouse that they aggregate all of the transactions and they settle with just one transaction. They kind of net everything out. And that is true, but that isn't, I wouldn't say that's more international use. The big difference right now between FedNow and FedWire is FedWire isn't set up for these retail transactions. They're just bank-to-bank transactions usually. But in the future with FedNow, they're changing that. So all the daily transactions can run right through the Fed's balance sheet. Therefore, they centralize the data. So the concepts are same. The plumbing was a little bit different than how I described it on Friday's video. All right, let's get into this CoinDesk article. Putin, this is today, July 24th. We've talked about FedCoin a couple times with AI and Sam Altman. And now it never ends, guys. It never ends. Putin signs digital ruble law, making a CBDC possible in Russia. The new law describes a legal framework for central bank digital token. So for those of you who might have thought that a gold-backed BRICS currency could be a safe haven, not only from inflation, but also maybe a safe haven in the form of privacy, unfortunately, guess again, because with that, I think you're going straight from the frying pan into the fire. And you've still got significant counterparty risk there. I mean, these politicians are all crazy. I mean, they're all megalomaniacs. They're all psychopaths. So do you want your counterparty risk to be Biden, Trudeau, the guy that runs Saudi Arabia, Putin? Personally, I want none of them to be my counterparty because I don't trust any of them as far as I can throw them. I don't care what they say their stupid currency is backed by. And especially when they're sitting here talking about a central bank digital currency. But let's keep going here. The digital ruble, which the Bank of Russia has been long mulling over, will be used in payments along with other methods according to the new amendments to Russia's civil code. I don't know this for a fact. I'm just completely speculating here, but I would guess that they had the same laws set up that their central bank could not have accounts for non-bank entities, just like the Fed. And my guess, again, complete guess here, is that those are the laws that they changed in the Russia's or the amendments to their civil code, which now allows their central bank to have the accounts of non-bank entities, which would be pretty much the foundation for a CBDC, something that we should really look out for here in the United States. We've got to remember that the good news is, as of right now, CBDC is technically illegal in the United States because non-bank entities cannot have an account with the Fed. Now, of course, being the cynic that I am, I would sit back and say, okay, well, sure, as soon as we get a crisis, that law is going to be gone, or they're just going to completely ignore it, which I think is definitely high probability. But it doesn't mean that the law doesn't still exist on the books right now. And we should do everything that we can to try to protect that. So when the Ron DeSantis, the Ted Cruz, the Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls of the world try to push back against this CBDC, I think they would have a much better chance. A strategy of upholding the current law would most likely be more effective than trying to implement some law at a local level in Florida, which really pretty much has no impact whatsoever. Let's get back to the article here. Digital rubles, a CBDC project Bank of Russia has been working on since 2020. When the Bank of Russia published their first analytical report on the topic, later the regulator updated. The report included feedback from Russian banks, financial participants. They go on to speculate that they set this up as a way to get around these heavy sanctions. I don't think so, because I think that's just kind of a misunderstanding of the overall plumbing. According to the head of the Parliament's Committee on Financial Markets, Anatoly Aksavakov, the digital ruble will also allow controlling, limiting the ways private citizens can spend them. Let me read that again. Again, for those of you who are really excited about taking all your dollars and buying the BRICS currency. Not that I don't think there should be competition, and not that I don't think that a gold-backed currency is interesting. I don't know if you could implement it, but not that I don't like sound money. It's just, come on, guys, let's be honest here. You're going from your counterparty being the United States and the dollar to your counterparty being Putin and the Russians that are talking about implementing a digital ruble for the specific reason that it can limit the way private citizens can spend their money. And they give this example of, and I think this is very ironic here and very telling, parents would be able to control on what their kids spend their pocket money.